Happy October, everyone. We made it. Spooky month. Yes, we are the Witches Movie Coven. Indeed. We are witches. Yes, indeed. We talk about witchy movies. Yes, we have hit October officially. It is October 2, so it is Halloween from here on in. My name is Patti Negri. I'm one of your hosts. Honored to be here. You might know me from The Witching Hour, my podcast, from Ghost Adventures, from Portals to Hell, to Bathroom Walls Across America. And I am just honored to be here with my co-hosts, who I will let introduce themselves. Richard-Lael.
That would be me. Richard-Lael is one name, not two. If I were Richard, I'd be a... There is my good friend right over there. Anyway, I am Richard-Lael. I am known as a psychic, the gentleman psychic. I'm a psychic medium. I'm all befuddled. I can't even talk. I'm going to move on. I'm really easy to find. I'm a little bit of everywhere.
Thank you. Courtney.
That's me. And guess what? It's showtime. I'm Courtney. I couldn't resist. I'm Courtney Buckley, ghost bait on Scared and Alone, and currently in actual hell in Salem for the month of October. So I'm here though and alive. That's all I can ask for.
And Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather Greene. I'm an author of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft and the Definitive Guide to Movies and Witch Movies in American Cinema and Television. And I am a journalist and a editor at Llewellyn Worldwide, working with all kinds of witchy authors. You can find me on all the socials. And I'm really excited to be celebrating another October with my favorite coven mates.
Yeah, me too. And what happened to Chad? We've lost him.
I'm coming. I'm so sorry. You have to say my name 3 times. I'm joking. Don't do that. I'm so sorry.
He appears.
I'm here. I'm so sorry. It has been an absolute nightmare trying to get this thing up and running, but I'm here. I'm present. I'm so excited to be here. I trimmed my scraggly beard. It's going to be a good evening.
It's going to be. Is. We do not, unfortunately, have Jason with us, but he did send his Mankey movie minute, so he will be with us in spirit and in video. So this week.
Sorry, let me turn that off. I don't know how. I thought I did that.
Okay. Salem, Oregon, Courtney road trip. Okay. So this week's movie, the original Beetlejuice. Yes, Beetlejuice. Because that's the way to start off October, right? Right. So I'm sure all of you have seen it at least 15 times, but in case you haven't, Richard-Lael, do you have an unbiased synopsis of this lovely film?
Good luck.
I do have, and actually this one is fairly unbiased. I'm not going to say anything one way or the other because I don't want to spoil it. No spoilers on the show. So the film is about this couple, the Maitlands, who have restored lovingly a Victorian home in Vermont, and they die in the slowest car accident to have ever been known to man, and they drown in all of maybe 6 inches of water. But they turn into ghosts. You find that they're dead. They are no longer among the living, and things are fine, excepting for the fact that they're ghosts. So now a new family has moved in, a mother and father, and their rather witchy daughter, who, of course, does see ghosts. She sees specters. No one believes her. The mother famously wants to come in and make all of these 1980s modern changes to this Vermont Victorian, and it, of course, angers the ghosts. The ghosts are trying to figure out, how do we get these living people out of our house? They're destroying our house. As luck would have it, while they're locked away in the attic, there happens to be, in the model that Mr. Maitland has made of the town, there happens to be a demon named Beetlejuice, who arises out of nothing, and he sort of convinces them that they need a human exorcism to drive away the living. Meanwhile, the daughter, Lydia, has seen all of these things that are happening, and she is more and more intrigued. Beetlejuice ends up by being rather creepy, gropey, disgusting, because that's what he does. They exorcise the ghosts. They have a seance. The ghosts are there. They are dying. Somehow Lydia ends up by marrying Beetlejuice, but only for a second, and then Beetlejuice gets sent into the netherworld, and Lydia, at the end of the movie, is floating in the air and happy and dancing with the ghosts. That's about it. But I'd rather not talk about that. I'd much rather talk about Dale. He said Dale.
Daylight come and you wanna go home.
You're all weirdos.
We're all strange and unusual.
That was a perfect description. Now that we all completely understand the film, Heather, do you have any more fabulous 5 top reasons or anything about the film?
Sure. Let's talk about our 5 things to know about the film. We've got context. We've got the cast to talk about, the success of the film and what happened after, and a little bit about the original version of what it was supposed to be before it became what we know it to be, and then the new version. So first, this 1988 film created by, obviously, Tim Burton, and of course, I have to mention Danny Elfman, was produced and directed and sent out into the world during the Satanic Panic. It's not a witchcraft film, but it is a film for October, but it was released in March, actually, the first time around. And given that it was created during the Satanic Panic, we do have some themes in there that do reflect that, although you see a child being potentially harmed. You have the goth aesthetic, which was very popular at the time. You have the yuppie gentrification theme happening, of course, and you have the demon aspect. Even though this is all campy and fun and everything like that, there are definitely threads of the Satanic Panic moving through. It is definitely a product of its time. So let's talk a little bit about the cast. So this is the interesting part, because this cast, mostly today, you look at this cast and everybody knows them, right? Everybody's like, most of the main figures are extremely popular or were at the time. This was Winona Ryder's heyday. Now, this was only her 3rd film, though, so she wasn't a big name beforehand. All the big things we know her for came a little bit after. Heathers was 89. The next year, The Crucible, 96. Edward Scissorhands, Dracula, 92. I love that. Reality Bites for us Gen Xers. Huge Winona Ryder film. She got an award for Little Women. Girl Interrupted, another one. She was just all over the place during the late 80s and 90s. Winona Ryder, this was her time. Of course, for those of you who don't know any of those movies, you know Winona Ryder from Stranger Things. She is she's a classic, especially for Generation X, who grew up with her and came of age during all these films. So of course there's her. She's Lydia, and she is in the 2nd film that just came out, Beetlejuice. Catherine O'Hara, she's the mom. She's Delia. Sorry, for some reason I just missed me. So she's most recently, people who don't know her from other films will recognize her from Schitt's Creek. She's brilliant in that. It is a fantastic screaming adventure. I love her in that. But she's like, I love her from Christopher Guest movies, like Waiting for Guffman. She is so good. This was her 6th film. Geena Davis, this was her 5th movie. This was after The Fly and after Tootsie, so she had some creds by this point. But she is obviously was well known at that point. Michael Keaton was not, even though some of the films had already come out, Mr. Mom and such. He wasn't an A-lister yet. That happened after this movie. And so, but he came on, that's Michael Keaton, of course, Beetlejuice, and Alec Baldwin, a young Alec Baldwin is in it. This was only his third movie. So things like Hunt for Red October, Glengarry Glen Ross, some of the films he's known for this one, but some of his stronger performances came after this movie. Again, this was his third film. And then there's Jeffrey Jones, who was not asked to come back for the second movie because of some arrests and some issues that he had, which we don't need to get into. He actually was arrested in 2002 we won't get into why. But every time I see Jeffrey Jones's picture, I think of Ferris Bueller. And because he was the principal who was trying to track Ferris Bueller down. So this has got a strong cast. Maybe the people that he picked at the time may have not been as well known as they are now, but this is a strong cast that worked together very well and is since become quite the powerhouse. So the next, and I don't remember what number 3 was. Oh, number 2, the 3 of the success. So this film, it was budgeted at 15 million. It grossed 84 million to this point. Was extremely successful, landed itself with an animated series not long after, 89 to 91. There was an animated series. I do remember being on, but I did not watch it. It has video games that have come out in the 90s and then more recently. I have not played any of those. I don't know if anyone else can speak to that. Courtney Buckley, I'm looking at you. Of course, more popular was the stage musical. Now, as a musical person, I have not yet seen it. I do want to see it. I've heard the music. I know. Shocker. I have not seen it yet, but I do want to see it at some point. It only comes hey, Courtney, I'm not in New York. It only comes here once every 3 or 4 years. Okay. And it was here this year. And I was at Paganacon when it was here. Okay. So I was doing pagan witchy things. I had to choose.
I drove through
No,
it came here in multiple different areas within a 2-hour drive. I went and saw it 3 times, and one of the times I drove through a blizzard to get there. So
okay, well,
we'll talk.
We'll move on and we'll have this fight after. But I do plan to see it, and I have heard the music. And I have a child who's really into the music, so that came out in 2018. It is very successful. And then, of course, we had just recently reduced Beetlejuice. I did not say it a third time, the 2024 movie. So it has been extremely successfsuccessful. This is not one of those where it was panned at the beginning and it's grown an audience as a cult following. No, it was popular right from the starting gate. The original version, and this is what's really interesting, and this is something I didn't know until I got more into it. So this movie was written as a story by, and I'm gonna find his name, Michael McDowell. He wanted to break into Hollywood. He wanted to get into this occult, supernatural stuff and it was popular at the time. Remember, this is the beginning of the witch craze and the supernatural stuff for Hollywood. So he wanted to get in on it. And he came up with this idea because one story said his neighbors, others said his parents. He and his partner were irritated either at his parents or his neighbors, I don't know, and wanted to create a story about that. And they wanted to create this, they had this concept that these ghosts were good, and that, there was this demon, and that the people who were living there were the problems. So he created Beetlejuice. But Beetlejuice originally, that wasn't the name originally, but was originally going to be a horror, more like The Exorcist. Beetlejuice was going to be a killer demon. He was going to kill some of the main characters. The Maitlands were going to die a horrible death that was very gruesome. The Lydia character was going to be raped, and at the end was going to die and then wind up living with the Maitlands in death. I'm trying to remember, he did what some of the articles talked a little bit about what Beetlejuice character was going to do, but I can't remember the details. But he was actually going to be a murderous demon. They also had his Jr. What was that?
Sammy Davis Jr. was supposed to play the role of
I read that they were looking at that. Yeah, they were looking at him too, and they also had a sister in it originally, to try to make Lydia look more off, to try to make her look more weird with her goth, but they removed her. So when they presented this story and script, it wasn't really well received, but then eventually the studio started working on it. They started massaging it, and eventually, obviously, it's no longer an Exorcist horror movie, and they changed it and moved it on, and eventually became what it is today. Burton signed on. He signed on after the success of his Pee Wee Herman, because he was still, Batman wasn't still in play yet, so he signed on. He was successful, and he was excited to make something that was different and very much a darker but yet fun humor, very, very much a Burton movie. This was, and what's interesting is if you read about the actual the writer, again, Michael McDowell, he seems like a very interesting creature. He is from New England, so he had a sense of that. He also was really interested in this humor that really paired very well with Burton's sensibility as well. So I think he's not really, this is what he's well known for, but he isn't very well known. So reading a little bit about his background and his writing and some of the novels he's written really makes sense, and it really works with what happened with it. And his partner, he died in, I think, 99 or something, and his partner said, you can see the McDowell footprint. Even though they changed the script, you can see the McDowell footprint on the final ending, which is nice, which is really nice. He was like into Lovecraft and occult movies and stuff like that. So he was a really interesting character, actually. And then finally, that's the original, the way it was supposed to be. So the new movie, I just want to give a little facts on the new movie. We're not talking about it, but it gives a little bit of direction. It gives a little bit of a sense of where we went. So Michael McDowell actually wrote a Beetlejuice 2. The second movie is not his novel, his story. There also was 2 others. There was Beetlejuice in Love. There was Beetlejuice in Hawaii. Tim Burton really wanted to do Beetlejuice in Hawaii. I'm not really sure what that's about. So, and apparently he still really likes the idea, is what I read in one article, but I'm not so sure about that. So these were all written in the late 90s, like a good 10 years after this movie came out. They were already thinking about a Beetlejuice 2. So you had the original writer, story creator, the creator of Beetlejuice, and then you had these 2 other versions from the studio. And obviously, we're not seeing it until many years later. The movie was budgeted at $100 million. And this is what I think is so interesting. So the original was $15 million. That's what it cost. The second one, $100 million. You account for inflation, this budget still was bigger. And then this one has already grossed $375.2 million. The other movie only grossed, what did I say, 80-something million? So, that's a really interesting. This has been very popular. It has some of the big characters in it are still there. Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara are all there. Jeffrey Jones, as I said, was not invited back. And of course, to bring in some of the Gen Z and Gen Alpha and some of the younger audiences, to bring them into it, they also included Jenna Ortega, who has also worked with Tim Burton and is known for Wednesday. In fact, the writers involved with writing this particular version, Beetlejuice to Beetlejuice, actually worked on Wednesday. So there was a familiarity and a flow there that really made it work. So that's it. Those are some details. There are so many things you can talk about this movie, and I'm sure Courtney's going to have lots to say about the musical. And it's one of these cultural icons, I think. Definitely.
I wanted to add one more character that was overlooked, and easily so. The woman in the gold dress at the party scene. Mm-hmm. She is Patti, not this Patti, but Patti from Elvira.
Good connection. That's good.
And also, of course, Elvira and Pee Wee Herman were good friends. And then there's a little bit more. Chadwick has something he has to say, I think.
Well, I mean, the main unifier with all of them is that the makeup for Beetlejuice was overseen by Richard-Lael and I's very good friend V. Neal, who also did the Pee Wee Herman show, all of the Pee Wee movies. She's also very good friends with Elvira. So it's granted Hollywood was much smaller in the 80s, but all of them are sort of glued together by the ever looming presence of Miss V. Neal, who incidentally was going to make a surprise appearance tonight. But she had some things come up, and so she sends her regards, and she's very sorry. But she gave me some fun little facts to share about the makeup of the movie, and I also have a friend here who is an amateur expert of the musical as well. So when you guys start talking about the musical, I'll swap her in. She's actually wearing Beetlejuice pants, and she showed up in them, not knowing I was going to ask her to like come in and disrupt everyone. But she herself has performed as Beetlejuice in a couple shows, and she's an authority on the musical. She knows everything about it.
I'm so glad I did my hair.
I know. You're gonna love her. She's great.
Chad, can I just ask you a real quick question? So the makeup is the one Academy Award that the movie got.
Okay, so it is the one Academy Award, and it's my favorite Academy Award that's ever been won ever, and I'll tell you why. V was not the only person doing makeup. She had a team of people, the rest of which were men. And when you watch the video, I highly recommend going to YouTube and watching the video of her accepting the award, because when they announce that it's her and the other gentleman whose names I'm forgetting, when they announce that it's them, V rockets out of her chair and she books it up. She does not wait for the boys. They can catch up. They will get there when they get there. And she motors up to the stage. She's the first one up there. She grabs the statuary and she's able to talk about it. And it's just like, it's just such a power move for women everywhere. And I love it. I love it. And I brought it up to her. We were at a dinner one Halloween. Richard-Lael was there. Trying desperately not to have an allergic reaction to the obscene amount of cinnamon that I had put in everyone's gingerbread coffins that I made for dessert, but that's unrelated. And I brought it up because we were talking about it, and she mentioned that didn't occur to her that that's what she was doing. It just made sense that, like, we have 30 seconds to talk once we get up there, so let's get up there quickly. And it's hysterical because she's up and out and they're moving coats and they're trying to, it's hilarious. It's a beautiful moment. But I love, can I talk a little bit about the makeup? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So apparently there was a meeting with Tim Burton where they were trying to figure out what everyone in the afterlife was going to look like, because the idea very early on that everyone would sort of be stuck the way they died. With the exception of the Maitlands, because they're not dripping wet the whole movie, but everyone is stuck sort of the way that they died. And there's a joke that Otho, who's my favorite character in the movie, there's a joke that he makes that if you off yourself, you have to spend eternity as a civil servant, a public servant, basically. And so that's why when you get into the afterlife, all of the people who are, it's like the DMV, but everyone who's working there are people who committed suicide. And so they had this idea. Tim wanted there to be color. He didn't want the afterlife to be sort of maudlin and boring and dark, because we've seen that. And V at one meeting came in with a stack of Necco wafers and said, what if we, instead of making everyone bright colors, what if we make them undead colors? And she laid out these Necco wafers and was like, this is the color scheme. And they loved it. And they did a couple makeup tests. And the first makeup test they did was Miss Argentina, and it just worked. And so that's why when you see everyone in the afterlife, that's why Miss Argentina is that gorgeous sort of tealy blue color, is because they held up a Necco wafer and just color matched it.
Wow. That's so cool.
And I love the idea of being able to be in a production meeting trying to like figure out, okay, who's going to be in the room and how did they die? Because, you know, you've got the poor woman who is the magician's assistant who's been sawed in half, that you see at the end. Half of her is on one side of the couch and the other half of her is on the other. And I haven't seen the new movie yet, but I understand they took that and ran with it. There's a guy who's wrapped up in a snake and all you can see is the top of his head sticking out. there's a guy who was eaten by a shark, so he's there with like he's got like a bite taken out of him. It's just it's a lot of really dark fun that they sort of ran with. And I also love that because they had a limited budget for makeup and they were trying to figure out how they were going to make things work. When they were trying to figure out what Beetlejuice was going to look like, V was having trouble covering some seams, and apparently one morning she was like, "What if we just cover him in moss?" And so she went to Kitcraft, which is still open in Studio City, and she bought up all of the like railroad model railroading grass, which is just crushed up moss, and that was what he's dripping with, is because and it was there to hide the seams to make sure that the wigs worked. And it's just it's brilliant stuff, and it's fascinating. I hope to God we can get her on your guys' show someday, because hearing her talk about these things, it's funny that there's the joke that the handbook for the recently deceased reads like stereo instructions, because when she tells these stories, she tells them as if it was just a trip to the supermarket. Like, does not occur to her that these things are such monumental parts of filmmaking. It's just, oh yeah, no, we covered him in moss. Great. It's great. And she says Michael Keaton is a delight and wonderful to work with, and Tim was really just wonderful on that movie. And she adores Catherine O'Hara. She said Catherine O'Hara was just a dream to work with. And the other movie that I wanted to point out that Catherine O'Hara, the Tim Burton connection, is she's the voice of Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas, but she's also the voice of the little girl who's dressed as the witch, whose name I want to say Shock, but I can never remember her name.
Shock, Lock, and Barrel. I think.
Yep, Lock, Shock, and Barrel.
And Shock. I think she. I don't know. It's one of the three.
One of the three,
Shock,
because
yeah.
Up until Paul Rubens passed away, she would come to Danny Elfman's concert at the Hollywood Bowl with him, and they would sing the song the three of them sing because they voiced them in the movie. And it's there's videos on YouTube, highly recommend. She comes out in a witch hat and she does the voice, and it sounds no different, and it's so charming and lovely.
Wow. Thank you. That's beautiful.
I have more for later, but it's for later.
Okay. Courtney, you're bursting at the seams.
Well, I am bursting at the seams because I could listen to Chad talk literally the whole show. No offense to anybody else, but
that's very sweet. And
he
now
comes in with the best story. Well, Chad, honestly, you come in here and you tell all these stories just the way that you just described, like it's a trip to the supermarket. You're like, oh yeah, well, like here's the people I know, and this is the conversation I had, and I'm sitting here like, I went to Market Basket, like.
It's just that it's fun to tell the stories, but I don't want to be a name dropper. Name dropping is so tacky. Lady Gaga told us that.
Right. Sure. Okay. Well, I was 2 when this movie came out. So I did watch it in childhood.
Oh, but Courtney, you're more than 2. Your mother has a picture of you when you were 3.
That's true. And 4, maybe. I don't know. They're lost to the wilderness. Anyway, I never liked it. It was never one of my favorites, which I feel like should come as a shock to everyone considering who I am as a person. I didn't find it funny. I didn't enjoy it. I feel like save for a couple of pieces of the potential horror movie that you described, Heather, I probably would have liked that one a lot better. So I showed it to Nathan, I think, when he was little, and like that was the last time I saw it. So fast forward to a year ago in May, my boss, I was on the phone with my boss, and he said, oh, I just went last night and saw Beetlejuice the musical. Now, mind you, I'm kicking myself for this now because my friend Brianna, my best friend, lives in Brooklyn, and every time we go out there, she's like, oh, let's go see a Broadway show. And a couple of the times she's like, we should go see Beetlejuice the musical. And I was always like, I don't love Beetlejuice, so I don't really want to see the musical. So I missed it on Broadway. But my boss was like, oh, I just went and saw it in Boston. Like, if you can get tickets, you should go. And it was totally an impulse decision because I just went on to look at tickets. They were cheap, and it was Mother's Day. So I love the theater, and I thought that'll be fun. Whatever, I buy the tickets. When I tell you my face hurt from smiling and laughing the whole time. And we walked out of the theater, and Nathan looked at me and said, can we go back and watch it again? Like, do they play it again? Can we do it? And that was like the last day of the show. So then I had to make a promise that every time it came back, we would come and see it. So the last run that came near us, this is what I was talking about earlier. My aunt got us tickets for like Christmas or a birthday or something. They were really good seats and we were so excited. And then the forecast came and there was a blizzard coming. So I panicked because I had promised Nathan I would take him to see it. And we were so devastated because we loved it so much. And we had literally been listening to the soundtrack on repeat, listening to nothing else for a year. And then now there's a snowstorm. So we're at a horror movie in the movie theater. I'm in there on StubHub trying to find something for any of the days that wasn't the snowstorm day. And I literally bought, it was like I was holding hands with the sound guy because we were up so far in the back. Our backs were touching the back wall. It was like, whatever. It didn't matter. We couldn't see their faces. It didn't matter. We could hear the songs. And we went the night before and we had a blast. And then the next day decided, my aunt said, we're not going to use the tickets. We're not driving up. And I was like, you know what? I bet I have some friends with 4-wheel drive. And we drove through the blizzard. And so I saw it 2 nights in a row. So for me, I don't have, like, it wasn't like a nostalgia thing. It wasn't anything, like, because I don't even like the first one. And then watching it again tonight in preparation for the podcast, I was like, yeah, I was right. Like, there was nothing to this. It tries too hard. I didn't like it. I went and saw the second one recently. I saw it twice. It was fun. It was whatever, but it also, I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like it. I think I liked the second one more because I love the musical, but it's such a weird feeling to, like, I have no interest whatsoever in these movies. And I was listening, I showered, as you can see. I was listening to the Beetlejuice soundtrack in the shower because that's what I sing to because I love it so much. I can't get enough of it. I live and breathe it, and yet cannot deal with this movie. It tries too hard. It's not funny.
I am going to actually shock everyone and say I dislike Beetlejuice intently. I dislike the character. He makes me absolutely nauseous. Even though they got away from the graping, I still am repulsed by Beetlejuice. I absolutely cannot stand the character. But also, many people may or may not know this, but when I lived in Hollywood, yes, I have friends like V. Neil, but I also worked as a celebrity impersonator, and I played Willy Wonka, which is another Tim Burton character. And Willy Wonka and Beetlejuice are two opposite ends of the spectrum. Willy Wonka is prim and proper, and everything is about visual, and everything is beautiful, and yes, it might turn you into a blueberry, but think about how scrumdiddlyumptious it really is. Beetlejuice doesn't care. He doesn't care what you think. He doesn't care what you do. And then I have a story about an impersonator. If I may, is that okay? Can I tell that story?
Please.
I think I know this story and it's a good one.
You do know this story. I told you this story. So I was a Willy Wonka impersonator. I was the master of ceremonies at a Tim Burton inspired bar and restaurant in Hollywood. And I did, as Willy Wonka, the birthday celebration. I was bored. I was hired to walk around and take pictures, and I was bored. So I did stand-up, and I would go on stage and I would say, they'd play the Willy Wonka theme, and then I would come on stage and I would say, "Greetings to you, my dear sweet children of the corn. It is I, Mr. Willy Wonka himself, but you can call me, no, never mind, Mr. Willy Wonka himself. I am known from Brazil to Cologne. I am a chocolatier, as they say in Francais. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls. I'm a fudge packer. What? I never tire of packing fudge. I have been known to pack fudge for 24 hours a day. But don't you worry, no purple glove, no purple love." Anyway, I would do this stand-up routine. And they were trying to audition this new Beetlejuice. And I already have a dislike for the character already. And later they actually hired someone that I really love. My friend Ron Keck is brilliant at Beetlejuice. He gets the grime. He gets it. He's good. Nonetheless, this fellow, they auditioned and they play the Willy Wonka theme. And I say, I go out on stage, "Greetings to you." And from the back of the room, oh, I forgot to mention, all night long, this Beetlejuice that they auditioned says 2 words to me. I'm going, into the dressing room. He's coming out of the dressing room and he says, "Yo, sup?" And I went, okay. So the show starts. Willy Wonka, here he is. He starts booing me from back in the audience.
Where is he buried?
Right? I almost did. So I tell him, I use a few expletives that I maybe should not have used. I recalm myself and I go through the birthday celebration. I march out to him where he's sitting on the lounge between two women. And I said, "You and me, we need to talk right now." And he goes, oh, hey. I said, "Drop it. Let's talk." And I have my fan and I'm popping my fan and I'm hot and I'm waving that fan about. And he says, he gets to the point where he says, "Well, I'm sorry that you were offended." I said, if you wanted to be in my show, you talk to me. I don't mind it. So we go into the office and he said, "Well, I'm sorry again. You were offended at my little joke." And I said, "Well, you can be sorry because you don't work here. He doesn't work here." And I was going on a cruise. I said, "You know what? I was going on a cruise. I was going to take 2 weeks. I'm going to take 4. I need it because I will work with people I dislike. I will not work with someone who's not professional. That was not professional. I will not do it." And so she said, "Well, I want you both to be here. I want you both to be here." I said, I won't work with that. I won't work with that. I said, if I come back in 4 weeks and he's here, I won't be here. So I went on my cruise. I took my extra 2 weeks. I came back and guess who followed me into this bar and restaurant? Yeah, the character playing Beetlejuice. Because as he left, the manager tells him, "Oh, I should have told you, Willy Wonka's a diva." Yes. And so he walks in behind me and I went to her and I said, "Do you think I am a liar? Do you think I'm a liar? What is this? Do you think I'm a liar?" Anyway, so I respectfully resigned my post. And she was the manager, but the owners are my friends. And I said, "Beetle House is a great place to go with your family," a public post. "Go there for the entertainment, go there for the food. Enjoy it. But for artistic differences, I and the Beetle House are no longer going to be we're not going to be working together." Anyway, a month goes by and the owner calls me and he says, "We have got to get you back. We are losing revenue. People are coming there for you. We have got to get you back. We'll do anything. We'll fire him. We'll fire this guy." And I said, "No, you won't. Don't fire him. No, that would be cruel and unusual. Put him on the Wednesday morning breakfast shift." And that was all that he did. He was on the Wednesday morning breakfast shift.
The most diabolical.
All that makeup. Nobody there.
Wow.
I mean, was I the diva? It was just, it was just unprofessional to boo an actor without having a dialogue first.
Also, it was completely lacking in any character integrity because Beetlejuice wouldn't make a spectacle of himself like that. He would be too busy in the back doing one-on-one. Like, Willy Wonka can hold a crowd. Beetlejuice cannot. And that's the problem with most people who do Beetlejuice is they think that they can. And you and I are talking about the same person. But because we've had run-ins with this guy and he has the same issue that cosplayers have when they cosplay Deadpool or Jack Sparrow or the Grinch or hold on, let me look up his anyway. The point is that they think these characters give them license to do whatever they want and get away with it because they're in character, and it's like, no, you still have to understand the character enough to have the character integrity to be able to do that. And also, in a situation like that, it's just unprofessional. You were doing an established thing with the business, and he had no business doing that and upsetting things. And yeah, Tabitha, you're correct. Beetlejuice is a narcissist.
Okay.
But that's none of my business.
That is, okay. That is, I mean, that is a beautiful story. It's so funny with all the weird. I like the movie. Of course, he's a horrible person. He's a bad demon. But with all the horrible movies with unethical, evil people that you think he's extra bad, just cracks me up. So, and I'm sort of surprised, Courtney, that after seeing the musical, that the film didn't warm up on you. Because
Nope.
sometimes the movie, the book, the whatever, it warms it back up.
The thing is, and I just put this in the chat. I said I like like the musical Beetlejuice. I like the character of Beetlejuice in the musical because he's different than he is on the screen. And it's not that I'm not offended by the movie. I don't think that he's too gross. I don't think that he's too whatever. I just don't like. I don't think it's good at all enough to hold my interest. I didn't find it funny. I think it tries way too hard to be funny, and instead of just like being stupid, like you guys know my sense of humor. If it was so stupid, I'd laugh. But it's not even that it's stupid. It's just that it's trying way too hard. And the second they do the same thing in the second one, there's points in the second one. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's points in the second one where he'll say something and then he'll look at the camera and he'll be like, and like nobody laughs because it wasn't funny. And so it's just like that would happen and I would get secondhand embarrassment, but like not even the good kind, because I don't even think that's what they were going for. So it just, the Beetlejuice character in the musical is phenomenal. And that's who I think Beetlejuice should be.
Okay.
And
Well,
he's gross too. He's disgusting and he's all the things. He's a pervert. He's everything. But he's funny.
okay. I still like Michael Keaton, and I never, because I am the queen of they try too hard, they try too hard. I say it almost every movie that we review, they try too hard. But I did not get that out of this film. I think he was just doing what he does. I think even eating, what do you call it, eating the furniture is part of his character, what the character would do. But I just thought the casting and the characters, the Alec and Geena together were so great, and then the family moving in, just that's me. The juxtaposition, all the characters, all the relationships, dad trying to calm down and mom being that city girl coming in. I just bought into all the characters and I fell in love with them. You love them, you hate them, you do all the things you're supposed to. The goofy real estate lady, I bought right into the movie, loved Winona Ryder. And I just can't believe how young they all were. Alec Baldwin, I hardly even recognize him.
Yeah. I was a teenager when this came out, and so I loved it, and we had so much fun, and we would sing. We all got the Harry Belafonte CD after the movie came out and listened to his songs nonstop. And Winona Ryder for us could do no wrong. Literally, no matter if the movie was terrible. And I'm just going to add this just because we're talking about Winona Ryder. The next year, Heathers came out. And let me tell you, I had so many people give me a VHS copy of Heathers. And so after a while, I said, yeah, I am a Heather. And I just grin. And so I started to own that persona. But Winona Ryder, from that point forward, didn't matter. She could do no wrong. And still to this way, when I found out and she was in Stranger Things, I'm like, she can do no wrong.
So what you're saying is she stole your heart?
Yeah. She was my Gen X.
Shoplifting joke. It's a shoplifting joke.
It's a what?
It's a shoplifting joke.
Okay, well, I don't know about that.
She got arrested for shoplifting.
Is that what she shoplifted? What did she shoplift? I know she did, but I don't know what it was.
I don't remember what it was either. I think it was just random things like paper towels and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she did. She was my teen, like, whatever, Taylor Swift, I guess, for teens today. But so I loved it. And Michael, he is disgusting, but it was just fun. I don't know that we laughed out loud like you're talking about, Courtney, but it was just corny and fun and just imaginative and Tim Burton. And I was like, that's what it was for me. This was so fun.
There are so many things that I love about it. The casting was great. Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice makes me nauseous. The character.
He's supposed to.
He makes me nauseous. But everybody, I mean, even in the confines of the film, Michael Keaton was brilliant. He was only in it for 7 minutes, but it was. I loved all of the casting. I loved the woman with smoking out of her neck. I mean, the whole thing was
very imaginative.
It was imaginative. It was. It had moments. Yes, go.
V was the one that V was under her with a cigarette and the tube, and V's the one that blows the smoke out of her neck.
That's amazing.
That's so
That was
funny.
brilliant.
I will say, sorry, God.
Oh, go. No, mine's
mine's really quick. I as much as I dislike the movie, there is one thing that I really loved, and I agree with everybody. The casting was great. I loved the afterlife. I loved all the characters in the afterlife. The thing that I actually really did love, and I said it out loud tonight, is I love the ending. I think, and I'm never a fan of the ending. And in this one, I love the ending, and it pulled at my heartstrings because the Maitlands wanted a kid and Lydia wanted a mother. And then at the end, she had 4 parents who were co-parenting her together from this life and the afterlife. And I just thought it was awesome. Like the way the music starts, and then the dad is like, oh, Lydia got an A on her math test because like they were all working together. I loved that. I did love that. Just overall wasn't a fan.
The music was brilliant. Brilliant. So
according to what I read is that they chose that music because it was easy to it was cheap and easy to get the rights to use, where they actually wanted to use other stuff but it was too expensive. But it worked. It worked
brilliantly. Yeah. I think it almost made the movie. So much of it was great.
Yeah.
All right. So do we have any quotes, Miss Courtney?
I mean, yeah, a few, but I would rather meet Chad's friend.
Chad, what? Chad, talk.
Okay, I'm so sorry. So sorry. I have to get this out. The seance that Otho reads from the book is incorrectly regarded as having been written for the movie, and it's not. It's a poem, and I've known this for years, and I love to tout this out at parties. It was a poem that was written in 1849 as part of a larger work called Death's Jest, which was a book by Thomas Lovell Beddoes. And when they were working on the script, at some point, someone had it, and they cut out pieces of it and used it for a seance because it sounds like an actual spell when you think about it, but it's very difficult to find. And the reason why I've been like over here on my laptop the whole time we've been talking is because I found a full copy of the poem once a long time ago, and it was buried somewhere on my laptop, and I pulled it up. So to piggyback on the quotes, when you're done with the quotes, if you guys want, I would love to read the poem in its entirety. It's not very long. It'll take less than 2 minutes, but it's just so beautifully worded. I wanted to make sure that I interjected that little bit. That was the major contribution I wanted to make to the evening.
Go now.
Yeah, do it now.
Oh, egads. Okay. Oh God. Okay. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
As sudden thunder pierces night, as magic wonder wild affright, rives asunder men's delight, our ghost, our corpse, and we rise to be. As flies the lizard, serpent fell, as goblin vizard at the spell of pale wizard sinks to hell, our life, our laugh, our lay pass away. As wake the morning trumpets bright, as snowdrop scorning winter's might, rises warning like a sprite, we buried, dead, and slain, rise again.
Beautiful.
So they went in and they added, but that's the original poem that they borrowed from for Otho's seance.
And I love that.
Yay, Chad!
Yay! Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
At least he didn't put us in the freezer this time.
I was gonna say Jason's not here, so I can't put you in the freezer.
Oh, that's right. We did go in the freezer the last time.
Yeah, that was amazing. I thought I was gonna die. Okay. Anyway, all right. So I have a few. Obviously, it's Showtime being the big one. And then the other one that I've already said, which is when Lydia says, well, I've read through the handbook for the recently deceased. It says, Live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual. Adam asking for Beetlejuice's qualification. He says, well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I've lived through the Black Plague and had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it, not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified? Go ahead, make my millennium. Sorry, I'm scrolling through all my notes. I have to start separating these. I just it's like a stream of consciousness that I write down. Oh my god. When Juno and the football, every interaction between Juno and the football players, when they like have no idea what's going on and they keep calling her coach, and the one guy's like, I don't think we survived that crash. And she's like, how did you guess?
I'm not your coach. He survived.
I like also too, I'm trying to find it. I wrote it down in here. Bernard says, Otho, I didn't realize you were into the supernatural. And Otho says, well, of course. You remember, after my stint with the Living Theater, I was one of New York City's leading paranormal researchers until the bottom dropped out in 1972. And then goes, paranormal. Is that what they're calling your kind these days? And Otho says, don't mind her. She's still upset because somebody dropped a house on her sister.
Otho's an icon. Glenn Shaddix. Man, he was great.
Yeah. And he says, attention, Kmart shoppers. One that I did think was actually pretty poignant was an exchange between Barbara and Adam. And Barbara says, she didn't see you, right? Because they were like yelling. And Adam said, And Barbara's reading the book, and it says, in the book, rule number 2, the living usually won't see the dead. And Adam says, won't or can't? And Barbara says, it just says won't. And then she's like, God, this book is so stupid. I can't understand anything. But I think that's really poignant because we probably could and we probably won't.
I think that's a true statement as a person who talks to ghosts. Yeah.
Right.
True.
Let's see. Okay, so my last one is when he
froze.
You're still on, Chadwick.
Yeah, you're back.
We see you.
Gone, back. Oh.
He really was done. That was it, the poem, and he's gone. My last one is when he's marrying Lydia, and he's trying to find the ring, and he pulls out the whole finger to take the ring off the finger, and he goes, I'm telling you, honey, she meant nothing to me. Nothing at all. Which I thought was cute. But
does that no spoilers, but does that come back in the sequel? Okay, yes. Good.
And that's not a spoiler. It does.
Thank you for those quotes. Now I know he's not here, but he is here anyway. We have our Mankey movie minute somewhere. Roll
from the other world.
It's from the other.
Coven, I miss you all. I'm still out on vacation as you watch this, but I'll be back soon. I can't wait to do the show live again. But until then, here we are, pre-recorded Mankey Minute. Before we start, though, let me tell you how dirty it feels to tell jokes about Beetlejuice, because if there are jokes to tell about Beetlejuice, all of them have already been said. Beetlejuice is, of course, an iconic movie, and perhaps most incredibly, only includes a little less than 20 minutes of actual Beetlejuice the character. For this reason and many others, Beetlejuice might be the most important of all Generation X movies. That's right, I'm doing generational jokes tonight. Because as a Gen Xer, I can tell you that we really only like things that were around for a very short period of time, like Nirvana, The Career of Tiffany, and good seasons of The Simpsons. I don't apologize for 2 of those jokes, but I do apologize to Tiffany because your version of I Think We're Alone Now is superior to the original. Anyways, I'm sure millennials have claimed Beetlejuice as their own. They seem to claim everything as their own, even though some of them weren't even born yet when Beetlejuice came out. Insert Courtney Buckley hex here. Baby boomers are also probably equally convinced that Beetlejuice is their movies because they tend to forget that my generation exists. But Generation X is the best generation with an X in its name, and Beetlejuice is one of our defining movies. 3 years before Nirvana took over the world and introduced the world to grunge music and the idea that my generation doesn't care about anything at all, we had Winona Ryder as Lydia. Lydia mostly doesn't care about anything either until she does care about something, which is so very Gen X. People talk about grunge music as the beginning of Gen X not caring about anything, but we grew up in the Reagan years. We learned not to care very early in life. In addition to being alleged slackers, a lot of us were goths like Lydia, another thing pretty much invented and perfected by Generation X, even though I think Joe Biden's generation likes to think they were the first goths. I think I remember an interview where Biden said his favorite band was Sisters of Mercy, but I could be incorrect. Beetlejuice also went the route of just about everything cool in Gen X. There was a cartoon spin-off. Almost all of those spin-offs were abominations before the gods, and Beetlejuice the cartoon was no different. However, it was better than Little Rosie, a Roseanne Barr cartoon, which might have been the worst cartoon ever aired on network TV. And I'm not making that up, that is real. But back to the Beetlejuice cartoon, a cartoon that dared to ask the question, is a wisecracking, extremely horny ghost who lives in the land of the dead and whose job it is to scare people, something that we should be showing to 6-year-olds? The answer was apparently yes, because the cartoon lasted for 4 long years. The Beetlejuice cartoon is also a prime example of something that was quintessentially Gen X and then given to the first stirrings of the millennial generation. Hey, Mommy, it's that scary guy from that movie my older brother likes, but now he's a cartoon. At least most people don't remember the cartoon because truly great things don't need sequels, right? There's something immortal about Beetlejuice, with Winona Ryder forever preserved in all of her young Gen X glory. Wait, what was that? Huh? They just made a sequel to Beetlejuice 35 years later? Really? What is wrong with people? Next, you were going to tell me that the original lineup of Jane's Addiction got back together and then broke up again after getting into a fight on stage, because that doesn't happen, right? Oh, what? Oh, gods. Oh, gods. It does happen. I think I'm going back to my vacation now.
Brilliant.
I will not clap, and I will not stand for the millennial slander.
There's a
And the
freezer.
cartoon won awards.
There's a
cartoon actually
freezer
won
10 feet away from me. And
Let's go. Come on, Chad.
The cartoon won an Emmy award.
I'm fridging all of you. I'm kidding. I'm not. You're fine.
I have to agree that is a Gen X movie. So I am glad that Jason had called that out, because Gen X needs someone to recognize that we exist.
As the resident millennial, I do not claim that movie. You guys can have it. Enjoy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Also, I looked it up while he was talking, because you guys keep talking about the cartoon. I'm like, I feel like I watched it. I did watch it. I watched the cartoon the whole time.
It won an Emmy award. It's one of the only ones that only Emmy award winning cartoons that were made after a movie. Like,
Wow.
So it was very popular and very successful.
I did watch the cartoon. And I actually loved it.
All right. We are running out of time. As long as we can continue, we do have to vote on this. And that means again, everybody in the chat room, we appreciate everything you are saying. Now tell us, wands up, wands down, Beetlejuice, the movie.
I've been working all day, so I don't have a wand, but I have some shears.
Cheers.
Yes, beautiful.
I'm holding them up for everyone except people who cosplay Beetlejuice.
It's just for the movie, just for the movie.
So we got an up and 3/4 and a down.
Exactly. What's your wand, Richard-Lael, there?
It's a ghost.
Oh, it's a ghost. Oh, it is a ghost.
It's a sheep.
Woo!
Mine is a human humorous, and I'm pointing it down because this movie was not humorous.
Oh, pish.
Oh.
Okay, in the chat room, we've got wands up, horns up, wands up for music making, wands up, wands neutral for the great cast, wands up for the ghost with the most, wands up all the way. Wands up is winning on this one, I'm happy to say.
That rhymed.
All right.
Oh, wait, Beetlejuice the musical, though.
Beetlejuice the music. We haven't done that. We'll have to.
I know, but I'm doing it right now.
So anyway, thank you guys. Oh, we got a long one with Lady Silver Willow Sage. All right. What are we watching next week? I'm going to push through this.
Next week is Bell Booking Candle, a 1958 classic.
Ooh, very witchy, very witchy. So everybody, Bell, Book and Candle, find out where you can watch it. Watch it. Join us. Bring your opinions, bring your wands, and bring your goats. Now we're kind of over time. I don't know, but if anybody wants to go over anything they have coming up that they want to talk about, jump in.
Yeah, I do. Scotland trip. There's a code. There's a special discount if you, we black car, if you just put that in. Anyway, that's that right there. And you can find me everywhere, thegentlemanpsychic.com, everywhere else. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't have anything coming up, but if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm posting a lot of really fun Halloween costumes. Chatroom, if you're
Chad Hatter.
interested.
Please do. Follow us all on social media. It makes a difference. Like us, follow us, whatever you have to do. We have websites. We have that because we love you. If anybody's going to be in Massachusetts this weekend, I'm going to be there for Mass Paracon. I'm going to be there. And then I think the next week it's LA. We got a little vampire salon here in LA. And then I'm heading to Texas. So go find our websites. I'm pattinegri.com. And will you be at Mass Paracon? Courtney, you're not coming this year, Courtney?
So I plan to, but my son has a track meet on Saturday, and I have a very important celebration of life to go to on Sunday, so I can't make it.
Okay. Robert's going to be there, though. Yay, Robert. I'm going to see you in just days. So you guys, thank you. Tell your friends about us. Give us movie suggestions, comment on things. Let us know. Oh, wait, we were going to take a poll. Are we going to wait this week or wait till next week?
Yeah, we don't have to do that this week.
We'll wait.
Well, I do
keep an eye on Facebook.
Let me add, if you follow me, I am doing a 31 days of witches, which I do every October. This year's theme is actors that play witches. So check me out every day. I've already done Margaret Hamilton and Elizabeth Montgomery. So go check those two out and then stay tuned every day for the next actor or actress that played a witch.
Perfect. Don't miss it. Is that on Facebook, Instagram, your website? Where is it?
It is all on the socials. So Facebook, Threads, Instagram, Snapchatagram, whatever, all the things.
Okay. So do it. Follow her. Thank you all. We're going to do the world's fastest cackle. Do it. Maybe do it Michael Keaton style, whatever that means. 1, 2, 3.
I was invited.